Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. Today I'll be replacing the dashboard bezel in my 1999 Saab 9.5 wagon. Have a look. So there are a few different reasons I'm doing this job. First off, the dashboard in this car has already been replaced. When I bought it a few months ago, or almost a year ago at this point, the dashboard was pretty cracked and in bad shape. So these are used parts to begin with. So there's a couple issues. One, on the shifter bezel, the wood is delaminating from the plastic. So that needs to be addressed one way or the other. The other reason is that the difference between the wood around the shifter and the wood on the dashboard is significant. And the other is that it always did have a few cracks here on this side. So the new one is out of a newer 9.5. It's a matched set and there's no cracks and no delamination. So I can sell both of these or just keep them in the garage for spares, but in the meantime I can have a much nicer matched set in operation. All right, so let's get started. Okay, so this is my process, so not perfect, but this is the way that I've done this before and it seemed to work quite well. All right, so let's start over here on the side. I'll just pull off the fuse cover, and then if you reach up in behind, you can pull this switch assembly out. And with these clips, just pull to release. All right, and we'll put that back inside, and I'm going to put the spare parts over here on the seat. Now that we have that access, I can reach up in behind and pull out all the plastic blanks. These just push out. There's also a switch for the fog lights. And I'll just push the connector back through the dashboard for now. Okay. There's another blank. Okay, two more on this side. Okay, in the center, this is where it gets interesting. So I'm using a putty knife. Again, not the best way, but this does work. Just gently pry out this blank, so that comes right out. And with that out, you can reach up in behind, and you should be able to pull out this top one. There it comes. Okay, so now we just need to work on the center stack. So if you reach in behind, you should be able to pull out the information display, and then there's a clip here, and then the plug rotates to the side, and then that's out. One other tip too, in order to make it easier to pull the dashboard out, you can pull the steering wheel out and down. We'll get to that later. Okay, now for the radio. This is just an old assembly from a door latch. So you can push this in. There is a kit for this. I don't have it. I should have it. It would have paid for itself by now, but I still don't have it. So I use this, and you can just push in until you feel the release. Okay, now with the information display out, you can reach in behind, and if these are installed correctly, it should release the lock. There it is. And then the radio comes right out. We'll get those out of the way. All right, we'll just put the radio over here to the side. Okay, with the radio out, next we can pop out the climate control assembly. And again, that just pushes out from the back. And same as the information display, there's a clip that gets released, and then the plug comes off. This one's tight. They could have made the wires a little longer. Okay, and that comes right out. Should be able to pull the bin for the radio out. If you press in on the back side, it will release two clips, and then this should pull. This should pull out. All right, and then there's a connector for the antenna. So this twists. And then there's two tabs. And this is the part where it's kind of hard to see. Okay, and then that pulls out. And then inside, there's some connectors here. There's three, so you kind of have to get almost, 3 fingers on it at the same time. And then that comes out. So we'll put that over here with the radio. So the next thing I'll do is take a T25 driver, or in this case, since I lost my driver, I have a socket, some socket extensions rather, and a driver here, T25 again. And there is one screw for the clamshell underneath the steering column. So we'll put that away. Put the screw over here. Okay, so we'll kind of push. Okay, and then we'll push in on the top. On the top half, and that should begin to separate. All right, and then we'll turn the wheel. Okay, and then there's 2 more. So if you turn the steering wheel to the left, you can get the screw on the left. I'll put that over here. And then you have to turn it to the right to get the one on the right. Okay, and that comes apart. So we'll put the steering wheel back to center, and that comes off pretty easily. All right, we'll move that to the side. Okay, a couple more fasteners. Under the light control, there's one on the left. I think I'll lock the steering wheel in for now. There's one on the left just inside. One more on the bottom right-hand side. Okay, and then a few for the radio. We have one to the left of the climate control display, top left-hand corner. One right in the center. And if I recall properly, these are all the same size except the ones that go into the steering column clamshell. All right, and there's one up at the top right of the information display. Okay, one more thing I almost forgot. Reach up in behind and gently push forward the hazard switch there, and then that unplugs. Okay. So that's all the screws out. Okay, back to the steering column. Pull this out again and let's lock it. And then there's 2 tabs on the top of each lever. So we'll pull those down. Okay, and with all the screws removed and the levers out of the way, we can start working on the dashboard. Now there are 2 pins that need to be pulled out, one here and one here, and also 2 down here. So you can kind of attack this a couple different ways. We'll start on this side. So I'll reach up, in, around, and we'll just kind of, yep, there's the one. So now I can kind of get my fingers in between the black plastic here and the instrument cluster. So now that one's removed. So we can come over to this side, same thing. And also this one here. Okay. Yep. All right, the steering wheel is out of the way as much as it can be. Okay. You do have to bend it just a little bit with the steering wheel there, and then it comes out. So one thing I do have to swap over is the cup holder. So I'll get that set up on the new one and we'll get back to it. Okay, so we're back installing the dashboard. It got late last evening filming, so this is the next day. We'll finish putting things back together. So the cup holder, there's 2 T15 screws that hold the little cup holder assembly in. So that's pretty easy. All right, and then with the steering wheel the whole way pulled forward and down, this should fit in the reverse of removal. So it should slide behind just a little bit. You have to bend it just a little bit at this point to get the vents in. And then there are a couple clips. So there's two right about here and two down here. So try to get everything lined up. Okay. And with the dashboard pretty much in place, maybe about a 1/4 inch off in some places, just gently press in. Okay. All right, and we got all of them. So just go around and make sure everything looks like it's fitting properly around the edge. And it does. So now we'll just go ahead and put the rest of the screws back in. Okay, 2 on the left, and there are 4 over here. So we have 3 at the bottom. And then 1 at the top right. Okay, everything works there. Next I'll put the stalks back in. There's that one. I can't see. There it is. Okay, and they just click in. All right, next we'll work on the switches. So this one here will line up the switch, and then it kind of just hold it in tight and then press down on the red clip and it will cinch in. And that just presses into the dashboard. Then we'll grab the plug for the fog lamp switch. And then that's the one in the middle. Okay. And then there's 2 blanks on the top and bottom of that. And then 2 more just to the right of those 3. I guess these were options for the European spec cars, but I don't think any of them did anything in the United States. Okay, next we'll grab the plug for the turn signal hazard switch. If I can line it up. Okay, that's locked in. Okay. All right, I think we'll put the information display in next. So that plug's dangling in, and I think it's going to get stuck behind the radio. So again, that locks in on the right-hand side and then clips in on the left. So we'll just push that in. Next for the radio. The plug for the antenna locks in, and then it clips in here at the bottom. And then the plugs on the right should lock in on the left and then clip in on the right. There they are. Okay. So we'll line up this piece, and then I just want to make sure that the climate control plug isn't in the way. Then this will push back, and it should lock in 2 clips on each side. Alright, we'll just make sure that the plugs are lined up in the back, and they are. So next we'll grab the radio. Okay. That's locked in. Two more blanks. All right, next the clamshell for the steering column. Okay, we'll take the bottom half first. We'll turn the steering wheel a little bit. So this goes, and we'll also push the adjuster lever down. This lines up, just kind of pushes back over the column, and then there's some large holes in the clips here that line up with the posts that the screws go into. So we'll make sure that's lined up. And then we'll take the top piece, get this lined up. There's 2 little posts that line up in the front and then 2 clips in the back. So there's 1 screw there and 1 on this side. Okay, and then also 1 on the bottom. We'll put the cover here on the side that covers up the fuses. Alright, so the dash is pretty much in at this point. The only thing that we left out is the climate control, which is this plug here, and then that just slides in. So we're also going to be replacing the shifter bezel. So we'll leave the climate control out. Let me readjust the camera, and we'll do this, and then we'll get back to the climate control at the end. Okay, with the climate control assembly out, I can still get my hand in behind, and we'll push on the back of these plugs and switches. So on the right there's the switch for the heated seats, and then my car has ventilated seats, so there's also switches here on the left. Otherwise there would just be some blanks, but they pull out. Maybe take a picture of which plugs go to which switches. They are color coded. We have yellow, orange, green, and black. And we'll just unplug those and push the connector back in. And that's coming out. Okay, so pull the plug out from the cigarette lighter. And then this was loose. I just popped it back in so I could demonstrate. There's 1 clip on the bottom, and then it kind of pulls up and lifts out. So if you take a putty knife, and this is next to the wood, but it's not touching the wood. So just pry up lightly on this plastic, and it comes up, not too bad. All right, 2 more T25 screws here. This is obviously a manual, so the shifter with the key out is locked in reverse, which is pretty far back and out of the way. And I also put the handbrake up. If this was an automatic, the shifter would be in park, which would be up here. It makes it difficult to pull this bezel out, so I guess you'd put the key in and put the car in, the gear furthest back. So at this point the screws are removed, so we'll lift up on this gator. The automatics will be a little bit different. And then there's 2 clips here at the back. So just kind of reach up underneath and grab, and then this will pull forward. Okay, it's kind of clipped in at the top here as well. So this should kind of come up and then back. All right, a couple more connectors here. 1 for the light, and then 2 which are kind of combined into 1 for the cigarette lighter. And then just pull this forward. The switch is still connected here, so should have, yeah, we'll just use this putty knife. There's 2 clips on each side, so just gently see if we can pry this switch out. Okay, and there's that. So that's the old piece out. One thing for the manuals, there is this little piece here that holds the leather trim on. So from the back, you can see there's 2 clips here, and then this part kind of slides on. So if you just pick one side and then push forward, and like that, it'll just kind of pop right out. Okay, so I'll just demonstrate with this one, just since I have it, how to put it back together. So again, we'll take this piece, put it on the top, slide it back. I'll flip it back here to the back, and then kind of squeeze it, and it should lock back in. Put this back over the boot, and then the switch just pushes back in till it locks. Okay, and we'll put these plugs back in. Alright, we'll clip it in at the top, and then again at the back. And we'll line this up, and it should almost press in. Alright, and we'll put these screws back in. Push that in until it clicks. And then we'll start plugging these switches back in. Oh, hold on. Okay, they're all back in and turned off, so this is fastened. So then we'll grab the climate control module. And this plug's a little bit short, so this is a little tricky to do. You kind of have to get it halfway in here. And then there is a clip that locks in. Okay. Just make sure everything's lined up, and make sure everything is in here, and we're good to go. And it looks like it is. So we'll press that in until it clicks, and then everything should line up. Okay, and then here it is with everything back together. So that's how you replace the dashboard and shifter bezel in a Saab 9.5. For an NG900 or OG93, the process is similar. It's just that the components and all the screws are in different locations. And there's no shifter bezel, so that makes things a little bit simpler. For one of those cars, just be careful if you don't remove the steering wheel, because you have to flex the dashboard a little bit more to get it in and out, and you want to be careful just that you don't crack any of the wood. Thanks for watching.